Most of our food on Vancouver Island comes from global transport chains dependent on oil for transport and fertilizers that impact our climate, our soil, and our water. Produce is shipped to us every day from faraway places. Huge monocrop farms are hailed as the most economical way of producing food. But the push to produce cheap food makes the system susceptible to spreading deadly bacteria like E. coli and Listeria, and has also led to major outbreaks of animal disease such as BSE and avian flu. After the Second World War, the same companies that made chemical weapons turned to making fertilizers and pesticides. These chemicals are still weapons, as they create hazardous runoff and leave land that has been sapped of its natural nutrients. Those same fertilizers run off the land into our oceans, and these nutrients feed algae blooms. The algae blooms suffocate sea life, robbing the water of oxygen, which creates so-called dead zones, one of which was discovered off the Saanich Peninsula as early as 1960. We could reduce our impact on the environment by growing our food without fertilizers and pesticides, organically, even in our own backyards. But governments have been slow to react to these environmental issues, preferring to maintain the status quo of world trade that depends on petrochemicals. Governments have been quick to respond, however, to an energy opportunity, praising biofuels as a way to address climate change and fuel dependency. But biofuels are being grown on the same land once used to grow food for people. As food and fuel compete for land, crop prices are soaring. Much of the new required ethanol could be made from agricultural waste like corn stalks and straw, and its production would not compete directly with food production. What's more important, what we put in our mouths or what we put in our gas tanks? Food no longer has a face or a place.
You know what? Our appetites are a big part of the problem. We want big houses on big parcels of land, pushing away farms from our cities. We drive our cars everywhere and anywhere we want, and we want convenience foods, fast foods, high in fat and sugar, and they're killing us. Obesity and adult type 2 diabetes are reaching epidemic proportions.
Today, with commodity prices growing higher almost daily, careful food selection is of great importance to every shopper. Not only the lowest priced item from a selection, but the one which offers the greatest nutrition is the true best buy. No one really believes that the housewife's life was really good in those yesteryears, nostalgically known as the good old days. Today's homemaker has to acquire a different set of skills, and in today's shopping center economy, one of the skills the housewife must acquire is to be a discriminating shopper.
We all need 3 servings of fruit and vegetables every day, but the ones you choose and the way you prepare them have a great bearing on your nutritional status. It's a real challenge to try and choose the right fruits and vegetables, especially if you're looking for the particular vitamins this food group supplies.
Marketing professionals, even back in the 60s and 70s, focused our public attitudes on convenience and total acceptance of supermarkets and processed food. This bit was clearly influenced by the processed food industry. Why buy fresh and local food when you can get canned or frozen? Marketing has not really changed. In the 70s, healthy images of the perfect family were used to sell us the wholesomeness of milk. The cookies, most likely made with trans fat-laden margarine, became popular because marketers told us it was better for us. Food processors invented junk food with trans fats to fulfill our desires. Now, we're being warned that these same foods are unhealthy. But through more stylized and slick ads, new processed foods are marketed to us as cures. Trying to follow the trends is like watching the flavor of the month change at the ice cream parlor. Added fiber, whole grains, zero trans fats, omega-3. Does anybody really know what prebiotics and probiotics are? What we really need to know is what's in our food and where it comes from. Labels don't always tell the truth. You know, we Canadians are very nice people actually, because we don't ask our MPs and MLAs many questions. And that's one thing that I'd like you to change also today. Also in defense of them, most of them are tied to party policy. So when Stephen Harper says something and he says, okay, we're not going to talk about GMO, nobody will talk about GMO. And I think that is something that is really sad, because I think people should start talking and discussing those issues. But we keep ourselves busy with issues that probably don't concern a lot of Canadians, and the real issues are completely ignored. And I think that's, you know, a lot of MPs and a lot of MLAs are just tied to that. But what I'd like you to encourage is talk to them. If you have an issue, if you have a question, you should talk with them. Because marketing people know this. Like, they know that, you know, like, we can market anything. We talked about the pro and prebiotics. I think there's at this moment a commercial on about yogurt, and they tell actually that there is 10 billion of something in the yogurt. You see, we're trying to, you know, they're trying to tell us things that nobody really questions, right? But we should start questioning them. My goal is, you know, and I came to the island about 3.5 years ago. I'm not retired. We still do productions. But my goal was immediately when we came to the island is to start working on issues, to start telling people the stories about food. And what we did, and again, that is something I think we all can do. We all can make a difference with small, small things. The first thing we did is, of course, we came from a 600 square foot apartment in Vancouver. Beautiful apartment, but we came to a 3-acre property. It had a greenhouse on it. It has garden beds on it. In the meantime, we built, we had a greenhouse, but we built another greenhouse. And we're growing food, not only for ourselves, but also for local people, the local market, and for some restaurants. Of course, it's completely organic. And at this moment, we're doing a film about what all happens in our farm. So we show the pros and the cons and the things that go wrong and how we solve it, all natural. And it's a beautiful farm. We love it. You know, and it is so enjoyable to go out in your garden, and I still do. Believe it or not, we still have stuff at our farm, and to cook from it. So we now invite chefs to our farm, and they cook. We sometimes bring the chefs here to VIU and let them do demonstrations. The first production that we did is a show on with children, the Edible School Garden. We had the idea. I did an interview with Alice Waters from Berkeley, California, and she gave me the idea to do something here on the island. So we created with 11 to 14-year-olds. We created a show called the Edible School Garden, and it was not an how-to-do DVD. It was to encourage schools to build a garden at their schools. We have given away 150 copies of this DVD, and if you know about a school that doesn't have one or likes to have one, contact us at dvcuisine.com and we send you a free copy. Because, thank you. Because I think it was, you know, we built it with 11 to 14-year-olds. Then in the summer we brought in the little ones, the 6 and the 7-year-olds, and you should see their reactions when they picked you know, tomatoes from the vine or pea pods. It's in the show, and it's really neat.